Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. I had coffee with a buddy a while back, and we got to talking about like how do we continue to lead. Usually when we connect, it's just bouncing ideas off of each other and checking each other's, like kind of checking each other essentially on like, hey, I've been watching you, I've been seeing this, how's it going? And he shared that he had a friend that said, you know what, one of my friends actually created this concept of a personal board. So he said what he's done is he's put these people around him that hold him accountable. You know, you have a board of directors for a nonprofit, you have a board of directors for a business, and he said he's created a personal board for accountability. And I loved the idea. I did not go out and create a personal board. I have a board for Faith in 5, and then I have a couple of close friends that I have essentially invited into that space. We don't meet regularly as a group, but I said, look, I need you to be these people for me. Because he said, really, his biggest fear, my friend, as we were talking, he said, my biggest fear is that I insulate myself from accountability, and I surround myself with people who won't tell me the honest truth. And he said, that makes me really dangerous. And I took that challenge, and I thought, you know what, that's true. I have the opportunity to teach about leadership a lot. And one of the things that we talk about is accountability. And in that accountability piece, a lot of people don't trust leaders and they don't trust organizations anymore because organizations have failed them. Christopher Hayes actually has a pretty powerful quote that challenges this idea that leaders are not trustworthy. He says, in the past decade, nearly every pillar institution in American society, whether it's General Motors, Congress, Wall Street, Major League Baseball, NFL, the Catholic Church, or mainstream media, has revealed itself to be corrupt, incompetent, or both. He said this has left us with such a painful gap that now leaders who are doing good things aren't being trusted because of all these institutions failing. And he said, so it's more important than ever that if you rise to the level of leadership, if people are entrusting you to follow you, that you have built in accountabilities to challenge your competence, to hold you accountable so that we can actually continue to lead and we don't hurt people, especially when it's connected to faith, that we don't hurt people's faith journey. Two of the topics that are resonating and like rising to the top of this leadership conversation regularly for me is vulnerability and transparency. And they go together in leadership for sure in today's world. And I think Jesus also showed us this example. Vulnerability is the ability to just not be insulated and have lack of accountability. Like I'm willing to share my life. I'm willing to admit that I have some weaknesses. And then transparency is that, you know, there's nothing I'm doing behind closed doors that I wouldn't do in front of people. And Jesus, really uniquely, there's a moment in the Bible that we talk about often, we teach about, but I looked at it a little bit differently when I was reading it, preparing for this leadership series. In Mark 8, 27 through 30, Jesus says this. Well, he's walking with his disciples, and he says to Peter, who do you say that I am? So Peter responds, he says, or first Jesus says, who do people say that I am? And Peter responds, he says, well, some say, you know, you're John the Baptist, others say you're Elijah, and still others, you're just one of the prophets. And then Jesus says, no, but wait, who do you say that I am? Not just like, what's the world thinking? Like, what's the public perception? What's the social media version of who people think I am? What do you, my followers, the people who walk right alongside me every single day, you see the way I treat people, you see the way I talk, you see the way that I think, and you are the closest to me. Who do you say that I am? And Peter says, well, you're the Messiah, right? You are the one. You are legitimate. You are true. And then Jesus does something really weird that I always struggled with, and oftentimes when I refer to this verse, if I were teaching on it, I would leave this part out. Jesus says, or he then, in a number of different versions, say it differently, but it says Jesus warned them, don't go tell anyone. And I just thought that was curious. But when I put it into this framework, when I started thinking about leadership, Jesus is saying, don't go out there and start telling everybody how great I am and how awesome I am, because what I don't really need what everybody else thinks about me. What I need to know is that my closest people see that I am who I say I am and that I live that way. And if you go out and start telling all these people, they may not believe it, because in Jesus' time, they also didn't trust authority. They also didn't trust the government. They also didn't trust people in leadership. So Jesus said, you know what? Essentially, I want to know what you think, what you see, and that's how we're going to do this. That's what leadership is. So this week, as you live your faith, I would ask you to do two things. One, evaluate yourself. Kind of ask yourself the silly question of, like, how's my driving, right? Like, how am I living? Ask yourself that. But then the second thing, I would say go out and find a couple people, 2 to 4, maybe 5 people that you can trust, and ask them, you know what? Who do people say I am, and who do you say that I am? Because I need that level of accountability so that I continue to be a leader worth following. Thanks for watching Faith in 5. If you like what you see, please like and share. If you're interested in making a donation to our ministry, please click the link below.